Hi everyone. This time in my discussion I'm going to focus on the Indus River Valley ancient civilization of Mohenjo-Daro and the one found next to the Huanghe or Yellow River, and we're going to focus mostly on the Shang Dynasty for that one. Let's talk a little bit about Mohenjo-Daro. Mohenjo-Daro is located, hopefully you found this, by the Indus River. Mohenjo-Daro, it's a pretty secretive ancient civilization. Many people think that it didn't even exist still today, yet many historians have found lots of evidence that go along with those 7 characteristics that we know make a civilization. As far as their government goes, they were a very peaceful group of people. They focused a lot on yoga and meditation. They looked for the good in other people. They know there was a government, but they don't think that they had a very strong government. Their writing was Sanskrit, and that might have been hard for you to locate or find in your research. Some of the things that they grew in their area, hopefully you came across that they grew wheat, barley, rice, dates were very common. When you look at their religion, it was a polytheistic religion. They practiced Hinduism, and Buddhism started to come about in this ancient civilization. So they did believe in many gods, but they also believed in the spirit of the Buddha. And remember when we studied Buddhism and we talked about meditation, yoga, those peaceful things that that religion brought. Their social structure, I think a lot of you found some really crazy names in their social structure, and that goes back to their holy book. But when you look at their social structure, it pretty much follows the same pattern that our other ancient civilizations did. You have your priests or scholars at the top, and your farmers and slaves at the bottom. Now moving on to technology. This group of people, they were very peaceful. Because they were so peaceful, they had a lot of time to start focusing on improving the inventions that came about in Mesopotamia and in ancient Egypt. Something maybe you didn't come across, but you saw in the answer key is that they came up with indoor plumbing. You can thank the Mohenjo-Daros for your indoor bathrooms. They were the first ones to come up with those. Something else that they came up with, the grid system in communities or civilizations. We call those neighborhoods today. How roads cross each other and houses go down one way and then down another way in a street forming a grid. That was the idea of Mohenjo-Daro. Their sewer system with those indoor bathrooms, they created magnificent sewer systems for that time period back in those days. They came up with weights and scales. The citadel is very similar to their ziggurat, kind of sat on a higher platform. So once again, the Indus River Valley ancient civilization of Mohenjo-Daro, very peaceful group of people. One day it was there and the next day it was kind of gone, and there's many theories as to what happened to this ancient civilization. Moving on, Huanghe. Along the Huanghe or Yellow River, you should have discovered that there were many dynasties that formed during this time period or ancient civilization. There was also a lot of fighting. If you did not figure it out, dynasties were families, and these families they all wanted to gain the power and take control of the groups of people around them. Kings were the leaders. It was, I would say, one of the most volatile ancient civilizations that we have studied due to all the fighting between these families. They wanted to try to take other dynasties down. Because of that, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but if you go down to technology, you can see some of their technological advancements included gunpowder and bronze. They started to really focus on weapons during this time. The writing system was logographs. Calligraphy started to come about during this time. Their agricultural practices, you can see silk, rice, wheat. The domestication of animals was very dominant during this time. Their religion, they had a very unique religion. It was polytheistic. If you came across, they believed in ancestor worship. They believed that their ancestors, those in their family that have passed and moved on to their next life, would help them in the current life. Ancestor worship was something that they would go into religious ceremonies, and they would have these oracle bones. They would ask the oracle bones questions. holding a hot stick to those oracle bows. They would crack in a certain way, and they believed that those were the answers to their questions. Human sacrifices during this time was a very significant occurrence that happened. Mostly they would try to please the ancestors or their gods, and they found a lot of these human sacrifices in tombs. Their social structure, you had the kings and priests and nobles at the top and slaves down at the bottom. Some more of the technology that came about, fortune telling during this time, calligraphy, logographs, paper, jade was another popular occurrence. Silk. In China, later on when we talk about the global economy, we'll talk a little bit about the Silk Road. That does not mean that there was a road made out of silk. It just got its name because silk was such a popular resource found over in this area of the world, but the Silk Road was actually a road of trade, where they traded things over in that region. So Mohenjo-Daro, very peaceful civilization. Huang He, and I said to focus mostly on the Shang dynasty, a lot of fighting and turmoil that during this ancient civilization, as these groups of people wanted to take control, or these dynasties known as families. So that's a little bit about the Huang He and Indus River Valley civilization. Hopefully you're gaining a little bit more knowledge as you're reading your Freckle articles this week. You will have a comprehension check on Friday over all 4 of the ancient river civilizations. If you haven't turned things into me, make sure you're paying attention to those due dates. At this point, all of your ancient river civilizations RDR activities should have been turned in. All right, you guys all enjoy your day, and I'll be seeing you soon. I know I've had some chat messages with 3 of the class periods. 6th period, your day is today, so make sure you're checking Google Classroom to see what time I will be meeting with you guys. All right, talk to you later.